Huh? That's the one you took us off of. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not over there. He didn't like my comment one time, he knocked me off. Huh? That's it. Barnett.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and law. Reverend, have an invocation? Pastor, would you lead us in prayer, please?
Father, we thank you, give you praise, give you glory and honor. We thank you for this meeting. We ask that your presence be with us throughout this meeting. Let wisdom, guidance, direction, and instructions come forth from this meeting. Bless every counselor and bless every citizen of Bartlett, Texas. Bless this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Okay, it looks like we do have a quorum this evening. Vicky is still not feeling well, so she didn't make the meeting tonight. Chad, of course, is on vacation and he'll be back next week sometime, so we'll get through that this evening. We have any citizens communications? Looks like Jose Benitez.
Yes.
The microphone up there for him.
Yes. I want to speak about my situation. I was, Mr. Sanders, I was,
Sorry about that.
very honest with you guys, honest. I want to work with you. I talked a bunch of times to you, Mr. Sanders, right? Bunch of times since last year. When I did my survey, this property, I know it. I did it, but I bought it, but no survey that property. When I bought it, you know what happens? The neighbor at the corner who works for the police, well, I don't know what he does. The neighbor, well, you know what I'm talking about, the neighbor. I forgot his name. Mm-hmm. He removes my heart. He said he was. What about the and he say he's still complaining about me. When I complain, I say, sir, why you remove my marks? I pay for survey. The survey company came around 12. They put my sticks, my little flag, and the little tape. He pulls out everything. And I called when he say, he told me clear to me too. He say that person say about the good and the liar and everything. He say we're gonna cut your utilities, we're gonna cut your water, we're gonna cut everything. I told you right there or no that time. Mm-hmm. He's gonna do that. Then you told me the only way you can carry this is if you don't pay your bill, right? So he's trying to tell me that time. And then he said something bad is gonna happen. But when he told me that, and I walked to my house and I called the police. And I asked the police. There was one officer. I get the I don't get the this is the white
there's only one like that.
Yeah, he goes over there and he say he cannot make the report, and he told me clear. He record the video, the personal video. He say because we for them, and when he is still complaining about if I get a flat tire, I say, sir, please don't fight over it. I show you what I'm talking about. I don't know if you can look in the picture. I show you again my search and explain to you. And the reason also is why I come in again because that thing that happens, right? But last Friday, Rose, the secretary, she called me because you called there when you told me the deal, the section for the manufactured house. You remember that when you go to my house? Mm-hmm. We measured it. We measured, right? 10 feet away from the lot 2. Right? And there's a rule. I'm respecting the rules what you guys give me. I want to work with you guys. I told you a bunch of times. Mm-hmm. 10 feet away from the property line, then I can start building. Right? 10 feet away from one electric post was there, right? Mm-hmm. You guys don't get to move the electric, nothing. If you give me the section, that's what I told you, right? And you told me I'm gonna remove the wires in the tower. What I told you, this perfect. You said I want to build on the road, right? Right. I told you. I give you, I don't want you guys to pay me nothing for the road. Nothing. I give you the real estimate. Look at that. And I told you a bunch of times I came here and give me the estimate. Give me the estimate. But you guys get never provide nobody. Everybody, I feel like discriminate, ignoring for everybody. I find it. What the guy who sold to me, I find it is this clear only for the electrical. Nothing dealing with, but I still want to work with you because I don't want to push power. I don't want to do that because I don't want to get people there. If you know the people who bully me, who they doing to me the best time. Last day, I told you last time, and you saw what they doing to me. The plant whatever you saw what they doing last time. They put oil there and then they bring the wash out. The trash in the front. They put the trash cans in the front. Everything comes from my property. They think everything companies. I just go there, clean it out. My wife is high about it. And I was doing it. But I was waiting for your respect and everything what you say, I was trying to work. I tried. When he removes the mark, I tried to put a deposit what you told me. Not to do that, right? Because that's what you told me. Yes or no? Not to put it at the deposit. And I don't want to make no more angry with those people. But now I'm talking about for me, my family. I saw one truck full of those. I know they may not put maybe don't know nothing, but the nephew, you know the nephew? When this is when I feel it say, okay, I don't care, I spend it for my family. Now I look at the truck, one truck full of guys. I was watering my plants in the front. You know the plant, the little guys in the circle in the front? I was there with the water hose. That man comes full of black people, they stop them from like in the front of me, like just I was watering like that. Those things I was sitting for 2 years, almost 2 years from now. Ignoring everything what they do. Ignoring that's why breathe and tell me, let's fix it. If they showing me or they doing something to my kids, I told you last time, 3 times I told you already, you guys are not responsible because nobody listening to me. I told you, they man is over there, full of the teenagers, the boys, those calculators. And the police knows exactly here, the police, what this man is. Look, every single week the police comes, he was making trouble all the time. He was trying to fight me. One time, Mr. Bird, the person who sold me that property, came to show me all the property that I was trying to buy all the property from him. And he shot me. Because I explained to him also the corner, we work on the road. We work on the road. If he was trying to explain what was going on, especially the neighbor wanted to see, and then everybody came trying to fight him too. And he goes over there to the police. That's what he said. But because he don't punch you, the man. So now I don't know what to do, but I want to fix it. Look, that last Friday, they called the boss told me and say the mayor complains, the city complains now about the fence what I get. And I still don't build the fence yet. It's just like mine, you just put it was one way because I don't want cast stones to my house. Why? Because I'm waiting for the permit. Now I was trying to put a house. That's what I'm trying to do now. No money. This is 5 feet away from the other property. This is for our work summer. We go there, measure what the fence right there. That's why I cannot push the fence right because I lose the space. So then now I don't have no this space. This house is totally big. I provided. You guys get this package from like 2 months ago. On this right here. And this is this fine. But if you can go back, if you guys want to do that, if the neighbors angry about that, about my fence, what he said, and look at what they parking in the corner. I hope you can see the picture that I can point aside one of it. And look, you want to look at everything and look at the school. They say the school complained, my complained about the mechanic because the school bus cannot cross it. And she's still like, good luck with that, he said. And I went with her at the school, and I talked with this man. I don't have that picture, but look at him. Look at him.
From Teddy.
The principal is the principal guy. I don't know who is in the administration over there. He said, I explained the same thing. This is my situation. This is too much. Let's go look at it. He came for me. He followed me to my property, and he said, you wrote this complaint, we never say nothing about it. We don't know nothing. Then I told him, write me letter, please write me letter, because always, if I speak outside, nobody knows what's happening inside of me. Look at the letter, what he says.
Where's this at?
Read it.
It's up there at Elm Street, you know, where we have to deal with the street goes into the property.
Oh, for the moment?
Yeah, yeah. And evidently, we had talked about where we were gonna put the fence and gave them permission to do that, didn't we, Joseph?
The original,
Yeah.
this is a non-agenda item, so we can't talk about it during a council meeting. It will have to be on a future posted agenda. But this is new information. This is the first time I'm seeing this
And
letter.
here is the original one, for the money bottle. This is what I feel in bed, because last time, when you guys take the decision, when you say no,
Yeah.
nobody speaks about the nation. He is the nation. He is everything. And nobody talk, this man, we're gonna give it a special, that's what I want.
Mr.
I give you,
Benitez.
yeah, I give you elbow.
Yeah.
Look at
The typical time limit is 3 minutes. And I understand frustration. I think Mr. Weaver has been out to this property. I have been out to this property multiple times. Rose has. Apparently, the superintendent has. Your concerns are being heard. They're being voiced. They're being addressed. Now, in terms of the police department, they're correct. They can't do anything unless somebody puts hands on somebody.
Yeah,
So the best thing you can do is just,
on Mr. Bird, yes.
yes, okay. This is something that we'll have to discuss another day, but for right now, we need to continue with the council meeting.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you
And-
speaking.
And I went to the prison to get all the square box here. And usually they say in the prison speak, and they say, do you guys tell you guys to give a call about it? Look right here.
So we have to continue with the council meeting, but I appreciate you bringing this documentation
So if you
forward.
wanna make a copy, because I wanna get the original back.
Yes, we can do that for you,
Yeah.
sir. Okay,
But I don't wanna, still, again, I don't wanna
understood,
complain this, because they say everything is my property,
yes.
but,
Well, let us make copies for you, and then we'll
Yes.
bring it up on the next agenda.
I'm not gonna get it original.
Is this illegal?
Yes, no, myself.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Benitez.
Yes.
Okay, let's, commissions committee,
Did the cemetery committee meet this one?
do what?
Before, one more thing before, and she told me, "Dear, that's what I came also. This permit for the nail house, when I get the nail permit, he said, never gonna approve, because if you don't move that one. And I was gonna see, if that's true, you're really gonna move, like you do something, you're gonna move the electric post to the other side, right? We'll see if that really gonna happen. The other ways, I have to go back again, because if they put the money for the house, I move the fence, neighbors are happy, I give them.
We understand. Okay, sir. Thank you. Let's get up.
It's still there.
The cemetery committee did not meet due to the weather, but once their next meeting happens, we'll provide an additional update.
Okay. Anything from Tyler?
That was-
Ms. Jennifer just stepped out. Let me see if I have their data.
NDP,
Maybe we can jump down to the MDD board.
MBD? Yes, sir.
Okay, the MDD board met, last Wednesday. The topic of discussions there were, the fiber optic, which we'll talk about a little bit more here shortly. They did give us an approval for up to a certain amount. They also were working with Red and White Grocery Store on an application they had made from Assistant Center, because she's gonna be serving food there and wants to upgrade her building stuff, so, they're considering that, and they discussed, what the amount would be to do that, because also her match back to this MVD board, so it was a good meeting. They've got a lot of good stuff in process, so they're also inquiring about doing some repair at the city park, where we have underneath the pavilion, the concrete's all coming to pieces. We're gonna be getting numbers on that this week, to present back to the MVD board, so that they can make a decision if they wanna move forward with replacing that concrete underneath the pavilion as well. So, that was pretty much Parks and Facilities Committee.
We can discuss that one when we talk about the tax notes for the building up there.
Okay, Let's see, you got the monthly update reports, the consent agenda?
Yes, sir, I do. Mayor Pro Tem and Council, you have the packets here in front of you that just outline the monthly reports for the departments. You'll see the electric department in there. Disconnects, meter reads, tree trimming and so forth, mowing, water leaks. You'll also see on code compliance, we issued 7 total violations. And again, just for clarification, our code compliance officer is still under training, but we do have 2 licensed code enforcement officers in the PD department. So our code compliance is just facilitating the process. On the animal control side, he had 5 total calls. 2 of them were returned to the owner. 2 of them are pending review, and there's 1 complaint there. So it says 2 complaints, maybe it's 6 total. Let's see here. On the development services side, we've issued 12 total permits, continuing the trend. All residential. That's mainly what we're seeing here is residential permits. We have very, very few commercial. We have 2 permits in review, 1 commercial, and we had 16 ATS inspections completed. On the PD side, got my report here. They had 106 total calls of service. 4 were priority 1, 21 were priority 2, 49 calls were priority 3, and 32 calls were priority 4. If you like, I can go into more detail there. If not, that includes 25 traffic stops, 10 911, 5 falls, so forth, so forth, so forth. More than happy to discuss that after the meeting if you like. I'll provide additional information. Outside of that, are there any other questions related to the monthly reports?
Any questions regarding the last meeting's minutes? I have a motion to accept these. Right? Okay, all in favor of accepting the consent agenda along with the approved minutes from the following meeting? Yeah. That passes.
Who seconded? Who seconded the?
Dale did.
And it passed 4-0?
Yes. Okay, we'll move on to the regular agenda now. We're going to receive the update on the fiber internet project expanding broadband internet in the downtown area. The NDD board Wednesday when we met basically approved and confirmed up to the $25,000 for the poles that we need to install. We've been in contact with BEC as well. I think we're just down to the final negotiation with them as far as signing the contract to be able to get the fiber internet all the way across Clark Street to the other side to the alley on the downtown corridor down there. So we've got a route picked up that's kind of right up from behind housing of Edie. I think the post office, correct? Yeah, the post office, and then it ties into the new poles, which gets it on the other side of Clark Street as well. So we've got a route picked out. We've got the approval. So here in the next week and a half, we'll be getting the routing confirmed 100%. We'll get our guys involved in the layout of the poles, get the poles purchased, and then we'll be moving forward with the internet. That's the
Area for planning, where the poles go.
But basically, the BEC has given us a location of the fiber behind where it comes to us behind the housing authority.
Okay, yeah, so it is more convenient.
Yeah, and it's basically kind of straight off of that.
Yeah.
Originally, the route was more in the alleyways, more toward the railroad track, and there were just so many trees and so much stuff in the way. This is a lot clearer shot. The other thing good about the routing is it actually gives us fiber internet access through the housing authority of the internet at that point. Yeah, put it to railroad to,
Down the alley, like, I think go past my house.
it could, yeah. We weren't planning on going quite that far yet, but the way fish, once we get the poles off, the hope would be to have an extra 2 or 3 poles to extend it as far as we possibly can, which could encompass more and more of the residential areas at this time. But we'll expand it on, yeah, well, hopefully. So that's where we are. Good stuff. I mean, that's gonna be a big benefit for us to get downtown up and going again. So any more questions about the internet project at all?
So that doesn't go down for us, a dollar store.
No, sir, not at this time. Not at this time. There has been talk about, BEC getting the fiber internet to the high school. If they do get it to the high school, then we would actually put poles from the high school down 95 as well, which will take us all the way down here. So again, it's some really good stuff in progress here as far as the possibilities of that. And then as we move forward, hopefully the MDD will get more money or we'll have the opportunity to expand it. So,
Perfect. Yes, sir.
okay, any other questions at all?
This is just receiving an update, so no action is needed. If there's not any questions or further discussion, we can move forward.
You
Okay,
want to make information?
I'm sorry?
Just info.
Yes, sir, just in.
and then BEC will come in and extend the internet, and they said it would take them about 3 or 4 days to get it all the way to downtown.
We're paying for the poles?
Yes, we're paying for the poles.
The MDD is paying for the poles and a portion of the construction cost itself. So the MDD is contributing dollars, the city is contributing labor and equipment, and the BEC is contributing the fiber network and fiber infrastructure.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, if there's no other questions, agenda item number 8, receive an update of a public utility commission administrative order for transmission operation compliance.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. If you recall, this is related to the Public Utility Commission, the PUC's administrative order where they hit us with penalties, the $25,000 a day, basically, if we're not in compliance by September 29th. What I'm going to read is an email verbatim from Steve Moffitt. So we have some very, very positive updates to share. If you recall during our budget workshop, they anticipate the total max annual cost for getting into compliance is $20,000 a year. And when you consider that the city budgeted, I believe, $80,000 for the year for Schneider to do this work for us, that's a significant cost savings on an annual basis.
Especially at 25,000 a day.
Exactly. Yes, sir. So let me read you this email. PG stands for Small Public Power Group. He's just providing an update to the group. He said, briefly, you'll recall our two-pronged approach to resolving this issue. Garland Power and Light would be the transmission operator for Weatherford. Weatherford would shed the load for the SPPG members and represent the SPPG members as their distribution agent. These members would be in compliance with the transmission operator requirement via Weatherford as their distribution agent and Garland as Weatherford's transmission operator. So in summary, Garland would serve as transmission operator, the SPPG members. So it's sort of this top-down approach to get us into compliance. Garland has signed off and agreed to their involvement in the process. That's very critical. Weatherford, the Risk Management Committee, agreed in July to approve this plan and send it to the board for approval. This was scheduled to be on the board meeting last week for approval, but was pulled off the agenda the day before by the city manager, who indicated he needed more information and time to discuss internally. On August 25th, and I'm in Steve Moffitt, with the city manager and his staff to get all the information they need and get them comfortable with the plan. One piece that he didn't mention in his email here is that the assistant city manager that oversees the electric department and is part of the board meeting, their risk committee, he has fully signed off on this. The city manager just wants to make sure that he thoroughly understands every component of this before he takes it to his board and his councils, likewise. So August 25th, that's when they're planning to have it before their board. September 29th is our compliance deadline. So we've still got some wiggle room, but obviously the sooner the better for this issue. Lastly, the ERCOT update. Tom Anson is the sub-consultant attorney for Schneider. He's coordinating with ERCOT to make sure this plan will, quote unquote, pass muster with them. And so far, all indications are positive. He has one or two more discussions with various parties at ERCOT next week. I will keep you updated with any further developments, and then he just has pleasantries at the end. So all in all, very, very positive development. And all of them seem to be working together in one direction. So that's good news.
With the help of Schneider.
With the help of Schneider as acting as a broker, essentially, a mediator.
Really positive stuff, so.
Yes, sir.
Okay, any other questions on that? Okay, number 9, discuss, review, and take any necessary action related to setting time and date for the fiscal year 2023 budget, the tax rate workshop number 3.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. So I will have to post a rough draft proposed budget by this Saturday, August 13th. It has to be 30 days before the adoption of the tax rate, which we have tentatively scheduled for September 12th, which is our next regular council meeting. I verified with the city attorney that even though we post that proposed agenda, or excuse me, that proposed budget on August 13th, we still have plenty of time to make amendments to it, to make changes to it, to finalize it in preparation for meeting. So what this agenda item is to set one last 2-day budget workshop to go over all of the numbers and ensure that the budget is proper to council's goals and objectives. So with that being said, when discussing this previously with Mayor Meese, he recommended, if possible, to have this on Thursday, August 18th, and Friday, August 19th, if those days would work for city council.
Friday will.
Friday one. Be Wednesday, Thursday. It's up to council.
Thursday work for you guys? Is that the 17th or the 18th?
Wednesday the 17th and Thursday the 18th.
18th? Thursday works better for me, if that works for you guys.
And again, I would recommend that this is a 2-day, that way you're not held too long on any one particular day. I would say 6 to 8 Wednesday and 6 to 8 Thursday, if
I
that's.
think my wife thinking it's 17 on
Can't miss
So
that.
we need a motion for that?
Yes, sir. Motion to set the budget workshop 3 for Wednesday the 17th and Thursday the 18th from 6 to 8 p.m.
Okay, Gail?
No,
Second. Okay, all in favor? Unanimously?
Check my calendar, too.
You ready to move on?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Moving on, agenda item number 10, discuss, review, and take any necessary action related to the 2021 tax note application regarding city hall upgrades.
Just want to give you a quick second. Well, I pull up the work, and what that is, including the floors and
I can do that.
perfect, yes, sir.
Okay, so far we have put together some budgetary numbers for the renovations in here. The old part of City Hall over there where the office is, we have the concrete's coming all the pieces in there. So we have a number to basically tear all that concrete out, go back and replace it with new concrete and new floor covering. Not really doing any other remodeling there other than that at this point in time. As office it used to be, we're just gonna go through, basically clean it up, put some carpet square or something here to make it nicer. We have that number as well. And then in this room, we're looking pull all this VCT tile up, make repairs to the concrete, go back and put, the 2 carpet squares in here, tape and float all the cracks in the ceilings, all the walls, paint everything, and then replace the ceiling with new ceiling tile and paint the grid. Roughly right at $50,000 budget to do all of that. The inside, yes, sir. Yes, sir. That 50,000 won't take care of the restrooms at this point, other than they need to be upgraded to ADA compliance as well. We don't have that money in the budget at this point. So the $50,000 we feel like will give us a good facelift in here and get that floor in there where it's actually more level and more usable.
They had to move that copy machine.
We do upstairs too. Like you was all
No, sir, that would just be for the concrete removal and pouring in there, and then the essentially cosmetic component.
Yeah, just a facelift in here.
Yes, sir.
Put it on wax.
Yeah.
So,
I know my wife thinks going to ask if they hear about this being remodeled here. Is this going to be able to be printed out?
Yeah.
yeah.
Make it a lot more user friendly for everybody, a lot nicer. That's
Yeah,
true.
we know that's coming. We know that's coming, especially once it looks really nice and it does get the facelift and it's something to be proud of again. A lot of folks are going to want to rent it out, as they should. Essentially, this is coming from the tax note dollars, and the citizens should be able to benefit from that.
And it's just first in more phases to come as we can afford it, move forward with it, so.
Ready for some?
That's right. What I have pulled up is the issues recalled, $1 million is what was issued. Of that, 30,000 closing costs, which went to in part to bond counsel, financial advisor, and so forth. 468,000 some change went to LCRA to pay off the February ice storm electric bill, if you recall that one. We did a prepayment of 50,000 on that, so we reimbursed ourselves, we the city, the 50,000, which was the legal limit for bond counsel, we could reimburse ourselves for. The spending came from the electric department. We purchased 1 bucket truck, 1 digger truck, and 1 service truck. On the water and wastewater side, we purchased 2 service trucks used by our public works team, and a more significant chunk of this funding was used for the wastewater upgrades on Elm Street, which, if you recall, those are the manhole and the clay line, just the manhole replacement where they had to dig at the old lift station and so forth, and the Elm Street upgrades, which were the manhole replacement and a stretch of clay line replacement. So that's where those tax note costs were allocated there. So that leaves a remaining balance about $97,000 remaining for the tax notes. And one of the initial proposals or ideas that we discussed with using a portion of that funding was to potentially purchase a second bucket truck for our electric department. However, with the department discussion with the electric folks and upon review of operations of that department, we feel that they can operate with the current equipment as it is, and if the city ever did need to procure an additional piece of equipment, purchase agreement or some other form of financing to do so for a piece of equipment, as opposed to doing something for City Hall or some other investment. So with that being said, there are 3 remaining items under proposal for the $97,000 of the tax note. In reverse order, there's earmarked a proposed amount of $25,000 for a chipper or a vac trailer. Chipper being guys cut it, load them up on a trailer, take them to the brush pile, unload them, and go back out and cut more limbs. In this scenario, our guys would cut the limbs, shred it on site, have a, what would you call it, a mulch of some sort?
Yeah, puts it into the dump truck and then just go dump it.
Exactly.
Is that just for the chipper, that was the accompanying truck?
It would just be for the chipper, but with the service trucks that we purchased, and in the city's fleets, with some minor upgrades, we could convert that into a chiller truck.
A little 6-yard dump truck with a foot of,
So,
side jump with blowing by there.
The next one is the wastewater treatment plant lift station. If you recall, the city received about almost $26,000 in insurance funding to replace 2 pumps. I believe it was 2 pumps at the treatment plant lift station. We've since received those pumps and have paid for those. The remaining portion there, which is that $12,000, raised to the guide rails. What's the other one? What's the other? Oh, and the manpower and the back trucks needed to do the upgrades. So we,
And that's actually scheduled to be done on the 17th of this month. So the sewer plant will be completely rebuilt in the lift station.
perfect. And that's a critical piece of infrastructure there. That 12,000 is a projected number. We're hoping that that's a pretty aggressive number, so we'll come in under that. The last number there is 1,000 for the city hall renovations. And again, that includes up to 60,000, and that includes the floor restoration in the main office area and the restorations for this component in here. What we'll have to do, since that amount exceeds 50,000, is go out to bid. So we'll develop a project scope, and we will post that. Have to do certain hub businesses, historically underutilized business, and take it from there. So council will be the one to get back to you at that time. So all we need for this agenda item is for city council to approve the proposed reallocation of the tax notes as presented here. 60,000, up to 60,000 for the city hall renovations, 12,000 for the wastewater treatment plant lift station upgrades, and up to 25,000 for a potential chipper and/or back trailer. Any questions?
I'll make the motion. Okay, all in favor?
Remember who signed second? I'm sorry, Ray seconded. Who seconded the motion?
Ray did.
I'm ready. Which one's that one?
the far right, the white diamond,
The far right and the
far right.
That's water.
Get the type in.
Okay.
Because we're learning every day, so we.
Yeah.
What was that?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
We'll get that in the budget.
Right.
Okay, item number 11, we're going to discuss, review, and take any necessary action related to Williamson County American Rescue Plan Act, the contract for Clark Street lift station upgrades. Basically, the lift station over here is in pretty bad condition. The guys are continually over having to babysit it with installers, tripping breakers and so forth. We should have proposals on that by the end of this week. We are going to take 3 bids, just so we can get the best bang for our buck on that. But we know it's not going to be more than $50,000, so that's our anticipation.
I thought we read the, that's the one right here.
Yes, sir.
From the brick manhole to a concrete molded
Not
manhole.
this one.
That's the lift station. So this is essentially the next step of those upgrades. This is our main lift station outside of the treatment plant. This is where a majority of the city diverges to, or converges to, excuse me. And the force mains, those lines that are in there that the pumps feed into, and into higher elevation lab. And it's just
so bad, you can't stick your fingers on
It's just a matter of time. And we'll tell you right now, if those force mains were to run into issues, meaning if they were reversed or anything of that nature, we're talking about having to call in back trucks around the clock to come in and reduce the levels, and that is an extremely costly project. Extremely costly. So this is a really critical project here, and we've made sure that the county knows the project is for us. So what the contract is here, we had meetings with our county commissioner, Russ Bowles, and his, I believe it's his chief engineer, Bob Day. And this is just the first project. If you recall, the county allocated $500,000 for the city. But in order for us to do a bigger project of that scale, we'll need to do bidding, engineering, procurement, and so forth. It's a longer process. So for right now, all we're doing is up to $50,000 for the station upgrades, with a cost up to $50,000.
So Dale County, right?
This is Williamson County.
Williamson.
Yes. And fortunately, we're very, very fortunate that all of our water and wastewater infrastructure, save for our wastewater treatment plant, but all of our water infrastructure is on the Williamson County side. So it makes it very easy for us to allocate this funding for those.
I thought it was Dale. Is it somebody else?
Bill Gravel is our county judge, but underneath that, you have the precincts of Williamson County, and Russ Bowles is our precinct commissioner.
The good thing about these upgrades to the city, to the sewer plant, to this one over here, that's gonna give us some really, really good condition for a lot of years moving forward. Yeah, so we really need, these are good steps in the process of our infrastructure overall.
Look at my wife. You've been here 17 years, I've been.
Well, I know EV Street could certainly use some upgrades itself. It's relatively small. Right now, this is very, very preliminary discussion, but as we grow, especially on our south side, any development that happens there, development being either residential or commercial, typically, well, they'll have to be annexed into the city limits. And as part of that open agreement, and the city can leverage our tap fees and our impact fees and several other items. It's a collaborative discussion with the developer. The developer wants to use our water, wants to use our wastewater, and of course, they want us to maintain the infrastructure after they build it. So that's their incentive. But in that development agreement, we can request that the developer upgrade EV Street lift station to accommodate any increase in usage. So that's our preliminary thought process. I mean, that's right now. But to answer your question about the smell, the best thing we can do is it's called cherry bomb. And hold your breath and just maintain it, making sure that it's properly. So making sure that it's properly drained and maintained in the meantime.
4D.
So we need to take an action on this to Williamson County, correct?
Yes, we just need a motion to approve the Williamson County contract for Clark Street lift station upgrades as presented. And again, that presentation was for Clark Street up to $50,000.
Yeah, right.
Just in high school, both of the sewers had a terrible smell. And the kids said that when they were on the road and they usually slept on the way back, they knew they were at home and they had to wake up. And it's not a joke, it's true. You know, we're home.
These are really very positive steps. It's good stuff.
Because we're not fighting.
I know.
And it was a good thing Vicky done. Poor Vicky.
Yes, sir.
All right. Item number 12, just an update on the water treatment infrastructure. Done some investigation on this and Mayor Chad and myself and Joseph, and we come to realize that we do have some great opportunities over there that I think need to be like our number 2 project moving forward after we get the lift station done. That would be to be able to utilize the water tower at the prison to its full capacity, be able to use the smaller tower over here. We discovered there's a way, we have to do a little bit more investigation. We have booster pumps now that will fill the prison tower. We have booster pumps that will fill the small tower. And we can use that for redundant systems to where that we don't have to shut the whole city down when we have to work on a tower. We can swap from one tower to the other. If we know we have to do the replacement of the standpipe in the smaller tower, to do that, it's going to be another full 2 or 3 replace the valves, have to replace and everything. So if we get the redundancy, it's also going to give us more capacity, storage capacity. It's going to give us greater redundancy to where we don't have to rely on a single system to keep the water down. So that's basically what we're looking at moving forward. Have to get our engineers involved to confirm not only valve replacements and so forth, but also how that we can utilize both towers in tandem without overwhelming the smaller tower. So control valve or something like that to be able to do that. So that's another really great, in the future, we could shut down water from one tower and the city would never even know.
Kind of like the old vehicles that have tanks on each side.
Exactly, same kind of deal. So that's kind of where we are with that. We'll be working with the engineers to come up with the actual game plan.
It's smart.
They told us the other boosters were shut down about 8 or 10 years ago. I know some of you guys have been on council maybe a little longer. I don't know why they did that. And those were the ones that were controlling the business.
That's about when the British took it.
Might have been, yeah. I don't know when they actually was. So anyway, we'll be digging into that more and have more and more information as we gather more information. But it's really good stuff. So, any other questions about that? Or?
It's gonna be expensive, but it's gonna be worth it.
Absolutely. All right, item number 13, receive update on the wastewater infrastructure upgrades. We kind of touched on this already. They're going to be coming in on the 17th to actually do that scope of work. The pumps we've already paid for. The $12,000 that Joseph showed you here is basically what's left of the labor and the vacuum truck to come in and shut down all the stuff that's in the pit now, clean it out, and then we have some unknowns there. We don't know how bad condition the rails may be in if the pump slide on. What would be is that once we get those guys in on the 17th and they walk away at the end of that day, that pump station is 100% brand new all the way through. The only caveat to that, the only thing that won't be new is the controller. So, but the controller is a lot easier to work on at this point in time. So, I think we're only working on one pump over there right now. We have a single pump. We have no redundant backup at all. So this will give us redundancy and we'll have.
At that point, we'll have three fully operational pumps, I believe, 2 replaced and then 1 continue to operate as needed. So this is the amount of critical infrastructure upgrades that the city has been able to implement over the past almost 2 years now. It's pretty incredible, to be honest with you. And as we continue to move forward with these projects, we'll make sure I'll develop some materials that show the exact scope and implement the product. It's going to make a huge difference. It already has made a difference, and it's going to continue to make a huge difference. Not just for today's Bartlett, but for the Bartlett 5, 10, 15 years from now. This is really, really great stuff.
What, this is if you have a government entity like city council, mayor, pro tem, a city, manager that works together, things move.
Yes, sir.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, when you have like, excuse the expression, lady, this top man on the hill, you know, it's wasted.
It's a team effort,
Team effort.
all the way through.
And it's really about looking at it objectively and trying to come up with the best game plan moving forward and try to do things in the right order so that you don't have to go back and backtrack yourself. So that's where we're at now, and I think that it's, legislation, get that behind us, that's a worry we don't have for a while. You know, we get the other one done, there's another worry out of the way, you know, so that's where we're working on that. is
Me and
chipping
Gail
away.
getting orders.
Well, that's pretty much it. If, anybody have any other questions or comments or concerns or?
Can we save Chad and go for a banquet?
Well, I'll give them a hard time.
Nothing.
Yes, sir.
Are there any, future agenda items?
I would like to see what, about that gentleman. Is there any way not to do something, but to find out what, because, as much as one person is patient, when somebody goes, and it's happened to me, when they pull the stop up, that's actually against the law.
Yeah.
You know?
To pull a survey
Yeah,
marker.
survey stop.
Put that on this
You're not
next
supposed to
agenda.
do that.
Yeah.
What I'm
Will we
afraid
put that on
of
the
is,
next agenda?
Yes, this might.
Yes,
what
sir.
I'm afraid of is violence.
Yeah,
I forgot to tell also all the thing, but the same day, the same day. I told the same, after he puts there, well, my good luck, the same company had. Can you go and find me again the pin? Because there was covered before, there,
Yeah.
the pin was there. And they say, every night, they say, yes, they find me with the GPS. But I started to do it, I started to put a spray paint in there.
Yeah.
From that time, and I get the video, I get the date, exactly when the same company, go there and do the different and find the pin. From then, I don't know, I was doing there and I don't know, I was doing there.
yeah.
Then, first of all, I get the same property
Oh,
again.
yeah.
I was watching, I was with my daughter, my wife was there.
Yeah.
And then man comes out again, in the middle of the day, there was one out, I get the date. And he saw me, what planted it. And he told me a bunch of bad things to me.
Yeah,
Hey, like,
Yeah.
I don't know, he's talking about bunch, and I don't want to confront him.
Yeah.
I just walked by my house, I called the police again.
yes, sir.
I called the 911, the police came,
Yeah.
and then they came with other officers. But my surprise, he said the same again. Get the easement, you can mark it here. And I told him, okay, let me, I don't know, please make there, right? Joseph. And the police, I guess, surprised, he said, he would, and I told him, go and talk what he is talking to me, what best stuff he's talking to me. And then he come back, he said to me, that he was too frustrated because you're painting his property. I said,
Yes.
sir, look at my
Yes.
survey, what is this?
Yes, sir.
You're
The best
Now
we
I
can
don't
do,
matter,
We're
now
gonna
I
put
don't
it
matter,
in
he
the
said,
next agenda.
yeah,
now I don't matter, he said.
we'll be investigating that this week and the next couple of weeks or so. We'll put it on next month's agenda.
Can I recommend something? Dig around country.
I don't wanna do that because the police told me he's gonna bring it to jail. Because he's gonna put it, he said, only the guy needs to sign it, and I get his documents on my truck, the police told me.
I do it in all my properties, with
Yeah.
concrete
I
around.
said, what period of the spot, what is this?
Yeah.
This is,
We
Whoever
want
they're
to
doing
get this
too much,
resolved.
they're doing too much favors to those guys, that I mean, if those guys complain about all day, like I say, I don't wanna close that, but use,
Yeah.
the only reason, if I really follow around trying to get is use a need space to build. But I don't pay for the space I get now, and the section for the manufactured house, then if you do the manufactured house, then I get space to move back more the fence if you guys want. I do it, I give you to you guys out there.
Well, let's dig into it for you.
And I still just quiet and quiet,
Yeah, that's good.
and not get in trouble with this man. This, the representative here from me all day, and I was trying to do the correct. He said, don't come up, and I don't want with that. And I'm trying to be always away from,
Yes, sir.
and I can provide all the information.
Yes.
This is too much.
We'll put it in the next,
Please.
make a motion,
Yes.
So then make
Right,
those copies, and
Did,
then give me the original.
Can Thader read her library board? Oh, updates.
You guys want to make a?
Hey, do you have any report on the, library?
Yes.
Let me make,
The original one, and
I'll make
the
it
manufacturer house.
I'll make
the
scans
first
of these really quick before you leave and I'll hand you these
Yeah,
back.
then I can carry those back, the
Yep.
originals, and then I can go.
I'll make copies of
Yeah.
these.
This is the first one, the first map, what the deal, what you told me, the manufacturer house, there is the map. That's what, hey, you are the owner for this, I know, I pay tax for the whole thing,
Right.
but I don't wanna make trouble on that.
Understood. We'll get you some copies.
What do you like?
Would you have an update on the library?
So just June numbers, June by the numbers, I guess you could say. 36 visitors, which seems to be a nice little bump increase. 4 new cards, which tells us new people are coming in to get cards. 9 people are checking out books, computer uses, and 62 and a half volunteer hours.
Awesome. Awesome. Awesome.
Wait, June, July, that was July.
Yeah, July.
We're in August now. July.
That was just an update, no action needed. Nothing. It was just an update. Yeah.
They're doing a great job over there, so I know it's been an arduous task, so.
Thank you.
You know, for-
All right. We had a motion to adjourn?
Yeah.
Yeah, Vicky seconded from home.
You know, that's Vicky's job.
She said.
Did you take those?
I did, I talked to her today. She's, something with, not sure if it's a meditation or.
It probably is.
Yeah.
I know she's not feeling good, but she has to make the cake.
I know. She said she has, doctor's appointment on Friday.
It's been going on for like a
3
year
months
now.
to get
Over
over
a year.
I said, Vicky,
We're certainly in that was 1,000 years ago, family deals and all that.